Okay, we are live. It's been one of those weird days today. I've had almost no internet access all day. Don't ask why. That's the thing when you live on an island with one provider. If it goes down, you are kind of screwed. So we're just going to keep it fairly short today. We're going to cover some of these topics that of the US predominantly, where things are really heating up at the moment. It's 13 days now until the US election. Things are getting crazy on both sides. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, you can see the craziness going on. And now we've got, well, we'll get into the story in a second, but we've got Trump now filing a lawsuit, would you call it, about the UK Labour Party. This is just getting worse and worse. Let's get over to this, but we'll cover this in a second. What Trump's doing. I want to start with the biggest sort of bombshell today. Then, and this is. I didn't even know about this going on, but this is what's going on with the UK and trying to do a lot of influence in the US. This isn't just the voter stuff that we talked about the other day. This is something new. So this is a bombshell report by a couple of journalists that reveals the UK Centre for Countering Digital Hate, which is advising the Kamala Harris campaign, aims to kill Musk's Twitter or X. So this has all been posted today, and this has all been provided through a whistleblower. So they're still looking at this. Is it legal? Is it illegal? They're not entirely sure, but it's going to be very interesting nonetheless. The British are coming to meddle in our elections in an explosive leak with ramifications for the upcoming presidential election. Internal documents from the CCDH, whose founder is, and again, I did not know this, Morgan McSweeney, who many of you will know if you like British politics. He's now advising the Kamala Harris campaign, which they're calling election interference. And his sort of manifesto was leaked. Again, we keep hearing all these leaked documents at the moment, don't we? And they've actually, well, actually, it's this Democratic senator, Amy Klobuchar, probably butchered that, but she's introduced this multiple bills then to regulate the online misinformation. And you can see number one on the priority was to basically kill off X. Then it's advertising focus, trigger EU and UK regulatory action. This is all against Elon Musk, and progress towards change in US and support for Star. So this is what they are working on, and he's actually been back and forth to the US to work on this. So this is going to really hit out and send some shockwaves. The documents obtained by the Disinformation Chronicle and Racket show CCDH's hyper-focus on Musk. Kill Musk's Twitter is the first item in the template of its monthly agenda, notes dating back to the early months of this year. And you can, this is a huge document. You can go in if you want to read all about it, but it is a pretty crazy dystopian kind of stuff here. So this is the activist ally of Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour Party, and it's a messaging vehicle for their neoliberal think tank Labour Together. The CCDH documents carry particular importance because McSweeney's political operatives have been teaching strategy to Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Now, when this was sort of first broke, they said, oh no, this is nonsense. You know, the Labour Party, the UK politicians, the McSweeney, no, this is just not true. They're not involved and they're not helping us in any way. But actually, there's been a U-turn now. So I don't think they've sort of admitted it, but they've definitely, all this evidence has come forth. They've even got the flight logs, so they know that he was going to Washington. And then again, they say he went to meet with Harris. Was it Harris? Was it her team? It doesn't really matter. But all of this is coming out the woodwork now, and this is why it's getting very heated, and they're calling it election interference by a foreign government, because the UK Labour Party, and we talked about this the other day, that post on LinkedIn, sending 100 politicians to help the Harris campaign. That is, I mean, you can't do that as a foreign government. Imagine that Russia or China sending 100 of their politicians to help the Trump campaign. imagine what would happen. Or, you know, either way. But for some reason it's okay because, you know, this is the UK, so they think it's okay. So what they're saying is this is attempting to influence legislation. And they, where is it? Last 2 minutes. Okay, Washington Post and Politico, among others, have run a series of features about British advisors who are, you know, contributing to the campaign. And they're calling McSweeney the election mastermind who helped Keir Starmer to defeat Jeremy Corbyn to become head of Labour. So what they're saying then is that they want McSweeney, they really want him, the Dems at the moment, because they seem to think he's some sort of a genius and they can learn a lot from him. After 25 years of the special relationship being essentially one-way traffic, they're now saying that they have something to learn from the Labour Party this year. Now, I wonder what that is, because I've not seen anything good from the Labour Party so far since they've come into power. And, you know, everything from all the people in prison at the moment and all the people that were released from prison. It's absolutely crazy what's going on. On top of providing election strategy, well, this is the one we talked about actually, over 100 current and former Labour staffers had begun knocking on doors for Harris this summer. So they've now done this investigation. They found out that this is actually true. So what's happened? This is out of the Financial Times. Donald Trump is accusing the UK Labour Party of interference in the White House race. He's now filed a legal complaint with their federal election authority. Bear in mind, it's 13 days out from the election. I mean, time is so tight. So they're saying this is illegal foreign campaign contributions and interference. The complaint filed by Trump's campaign accuses the Labour Party of sending strategists to help Harris to win, basically. And he said, when representatives of the British government previously sought to go door to door in America, it did not end well. Obviously talking about the American Revolution there. They've also, here we go. Okay, they've got all the evidence that they have been traveling to the US in recent months to help the Harris campaign. There was also the LinkedIn post. We talked about this as well. This has all been added to it. And they're arguing it supports contributions from foreign actors in violation of US campaign finance laws. They've asked for an immediate investigation into what they described as blatant foreign interference by both Labour and Harris's campaign. Now, the one thing I'm wondering at the moment is, have they kind of not figured out that, you know, in my personal opinion, let me just say, I think Trump's going to win the election. I've said that for a long time, and I'm going to stick to that. I still think he's going to win the election. So what's going to happen when you've got the Labour Party under Keir Starmer? All these people have got to work with the new administration, who I think will be Trump's administration. Well, let's just assume that's the case, that he wins. That is going to be really, really awkward. I don't know how that is going to go. That would most likely break down this, you know, special relationship, as it's called, quite badly. I mean, are they banking on Harris winning? I'm not sure. I guess that's what they're thinking. I mean, and the polls are still, every day I look at it, it always makes me laugh. You've got this massive difference between each media outlet, even the ones that are independent. You look at 3 or 4 of them and they both swing the other way. But it's pretty funny when you follow this every day. I saw this one as well. Michigan voters claim 8.4 million voters when there's actually only 8 million eligible residents. So here we go. It's all starting all over again. And where is it? Yeah, they've even admitted 606,800 inactive voters are currently on the rolls, but they'll not be purged until 2027. Oh, what a surprise. That's very convenient, isn't it? In total, 78 of the 83 counties appear to have more registered voters than residents of voting age. Oh boy, here we go. They've got 1.3 million residents of voting age, but 1.4 million are registered voters. In this other county, 351,000 registered voters, but there's only 300 that were less than 300,000 residents. This is, you know what's going to happen. It's going to be a repeat all over again. Moving on to the second story I wanted to cover today then. We've got these bankruptcies piling up now, and TGI Fridays is looking as though it could be the next one. Although we've got to distinguish between bankruptcy and sort of bankruptcy protection, which I think is what they're going to go for. So this is out of Bloomberg. TGI Fridays looking as though they may be filing for bankruptcy. And remember, there's a lot of other that have gone under as well. So we had Red Lobster, we had Rubio's, Melt Bar and Grilled, Kuma Holdings, Tijuana Flats, Sticky Finger Joint, Box of Ramen. All of these are having issues at the moment. Now, why is that? Going back decades, this year is set to come second to only 2020 for the number of restaurant chains and operators declaring bankruptcy. And this is according to bankruptcydata.com. And it's been revealed in the Wall Street Journal. Traditional chain restaurants like Red Lobster, Buca di Beppo have had to resort to a court-facilitated restructuring, but so have these other ones as well. And what's the reason for this then? Well, let's break this down. Firstly, you've got traffic down by 3.3% month over month this year. You've also got casual dining restaurants dropped by 4.5%. Yet corporate media and the White House say the economy is just booming. There's absolutely nothing to worry about at all. Let's talk about this for a second then, because we talked about this, last year, the year before that, and it's all around not just employment scarring, but it's all around, inflation levels and things not keeping up. If you are a typical family, right, and you may have gone to restaurants before, it doesn't mean that you're not going to still go to restaurants, because you have higher end, mid-range, and then you have your budget and fast food, etc. Although the fast food really took the during the last few years, and they've done some price gouging. Now, not all of them are price gouging, but some of them have been. And a lot of it, you look at places like California where they set the minimum wage so high. What happens? Two things. Number one, the restaurant passes on those higher wages to the products, to the food. Not that it's good food anyway, let's just throw that in there. You shouldn't be eating there every day. Ladies and gents, don't be eating there every day. Right, so that's the first thing. The second thing is, what do? They just automate more. They look for cost savings. So if your biggest expense is the staff, well, you look for ways to build robots and more automation and things like that. That's what you're seeing, the drive-through windows, the AI coming in now. You're seeing self-service kiosks. You are seeing all sorts of other things. They've got these machines now that are flipping the burgers. And you're going to see a lot more of these things coming in. It's not just these though. Look at Subway. They called an emergency meeting. Remember, this was back in August time. They called that emergency meeting. And we had this image here, the value wars. Well, there's no real value. It's just price wars. And you've seen all these sales down and footfall down as well. And that's the other point we need to talk about. So if you're going from a higher end restaurant, you'll go and eat mid-range until your budget is stretched too much. And this is what's happening. A lot of people, their budget isn't what it once was. So you may end up in budget food. But because some of this lower end food has now been pushed up into the mid-range, you're starting to see this weird dynamic across the fast food and restaurant industries. But people are cutting back, and you always see this. It doesn't matter if you're a developed country or an undeveloped country. People will start to cut back on luxuries. Going out to a restaurant, that's a luxury as opposed to cooking food, eating food at home, which when you look back on history as well, that's what we used to do. Families always used to buy in the ingredients, natural stuff. What was it? your vegetables, like your potatoes or something like that. I'm giving a Western example here. Your vegetables, you know, your green veg or your carrots and stuff, and a bit of meat to go with it. That was pretty much going right back. That was the sort of meal. It was very simple. It isn't that expensive. But now you look at the cost of things, you look at the cost of food, it is just outrageous because there's too much control by a lot of these big conglomerates. They have too much control. And you walk into the supermarkets now and you see the food aisles. It's not really even food on there. Can you even call that food? I'm not so sure. Here's all your new tax brackets, by the way, if you are in the US. So they have sort of increased the taxes right across the US, as we knew they were going to. Surprising that this actually came out just before the election. Very surprising. But remember, the inflation was the tax. So it's a double tax. You're basically getting a double tax now. You got the inflation, and now you've got the higher levels of your personal income tax. So you're basically being taxed twice. So no wonder people are struggling. California, that what we talked about, is seeing net domestic migration as well. We had 422,000 people move to California, but 690,000 left. Where did they go? Texas, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, and Florida. Interesting. I can see a pattern there. I wonder what that pattern is. But California said that actually they're doing great. And they've got loads of people moving to them, whether that's, look, legally or illegally. So they think they're doing fine. Oh, look, we got loads of people coming in. Yeah, okay. Some of them are illegal, but, you know, it doesn't matter. This was another article I saw come out. And this is all about tiny houses now. You got this massive sort of push for people to buy these. And this could be in some ways a good thing for some people, and it's also a bad thing for others. So you can buy these tiny houses now for as little as $16,000. Look at that. I don't know if you remember this old joke, but yeah. Look, $21,888, you can buy this towable mini home. And they've said here, this is a little hack, this from Zero Hedge. They're saying what you can do is you can browse Zillow for lots of land in rural America, and you get all these sort of very cheap, look, there we go, 10,000 there. You got to do some work and clear the woodland, obviously, if that would be permitted. 25K there. And they say what you want to do is buy these little tiny homes and then put them on this land where you can grow your own food. Definitely, I agree with that. That would be, you know, growing your own food is really important. And this is also out of NAR, so the National Association of Realtors. They're saying that the average person can't afford a house now anyway, because here's the orange bar of the required income, and that's the median income. So a lot of people just can't afford to buy a house now anyway. But yeah, here's a little hack. Get yourself a Starlink. If I had a Starlink, I wouldn't have had any issues with my internet today either. And then we've got this trend now of Americans moving abroad. This has gone up. It's absolutely soaring, the amount of people now, Americans, moving abroad. It shows the top destinations for Americans: Mexico, Panama, Colombia, Brazil, Europe, Spain, Philippines in Asia, and Thailand as well, Southeast Asia. Interesting, because that's my secondary location, is Thailand. But yeah, you see how much Social Security is being paid out abroad now. It's 7.5 billion a year. So that shows you what is actually happening. People are leaving because they can't afford it anymore. It's not just lifestyle. This is exactly what we've been talking about here on the channel for the last few years. It's happening rapidly, and I think people are starting to notice it now. People's budgets are being stretched. They can't afford things. Energy's gone up, food's gone up, housing's gone up, everything's gone up except wages that aren't keeping pace. Tough times, tough times. But I hope you are all doing well. Thank you so much for being on the stream today. Really appreciate you as subscribers here. Take care. God bless. I'll see you on Friday for the walk and talk. See you then.